They called him the Wanderer, not because he roamed without purpose, but because he'd whisper old folk sayings while hunting down outlaws across the dusty plains of Montana. Luke Harlan could quote a line from the Bible while landing a shot dead center at 40 paces. What the wanted posters left out was that he was heading back to Willow Creek for the first time in 6 years back to clear his name with the one woman who'd always trusted him. The woman is now wed to the town sheriff. On Christmas Eve 1890, with snow blanketing the rugged frontier like a forgotten promise, and a saloon piano tinkling out carols in the crisp night air, Luke Harlan slipped into the crowded chapel. His steel-gray eyes locked onto her in the fourth row. Emily Whitaker, stunning in her emerald silk gown, her gold band glinting like a shackle under the lantern light. She glanced up, saw him, and in that instant, all the secrets they'd buried surged back like a flash flood in the canyons. What happens when old flames refuse to die out? That's the question that would haunt Willow Creek that winter. Folks in Willow Creek swore up and down that Daniel and Emily Whitaker had the picture-perfect marriage. You'd hear it at the general store, the livery stable, even at the weekly potluck suppers. Sheriff Daniel Whitaker, pushing 50, with salt and pepper hair and a reputation for taming the wild mining town. His wife, Emily, 30 and sharp as a tack from her schooling in Chicago, daughter of the late mine owner Josiah Kane, who died leaving more IOUs than silver nuggets. Daniel had settled those debts the day after their vows, no questions asked. Emily ran the little schoolhouse, teaching the kids their ABCs and arithmetic. She led the women's circle, baked pies for the sick, and kept their tidy home on Front Street spotless with starched doilies and wildflowers in every vase. Daniel provided handsomely fine Victorian house, dresses from catalogs, even novels mailed from Billings. But if you paid attention, you'd catch how Emily's laugh never lit up her eyes, how she'd linger on the back porch at dusk watching the stagecoach rumble west, or how Daniel would grip her arm just firm enough when some cowboy chatted her up too long. A lady's place is by the hearth, not chasing daydreams, he'd say, and Emily would smile and nod, playing the devoted wife she'd trained herself to be. Truth was, even the prettiest prisons make the soul restless. Daniel had good intentions. He'd lost his first wife to fever down in Wyoming, helpless as she faded while he chased cattle thieves. When he met Emily Young, orphaned, scrambling to save her pa's good Nami, he saw his shot at safeguarding someone. He just never bothered asking if she craved that kind of safety. For days before Christmas, Daniel declared he'd ride out to Helena on county business big talks with a U.S. Marshal. Gone till after the new year. You'll manage fine, he told Emily, pecking her cheek like a kindly uncle. Old Widow Jenkins across the way will look in. Emily nodded, waved from the steps as his wagon vanished in the flurries. Little did she know, for 100 miles off, the man she'd once adored was poring over a wire that would upend it all. Little did she know Luke Harlan had unearthed proof of his innocence and he was already barreling homeward. The Christmas service was jammed, families shoulder to shoulder in the pine benches, kids squirming in their best clothes, men tipping hats as Reverend Harlan Luke's pack climbed the pulpit. Emily sat in her spot, fourth row center, her emerald gown feeling like a straitjacket, the room stifling. She waved her prayer book for air, trying to heed the preacher's advice about forgiveness and fresh starts. Then she spotted him, a silhouette in the rear, tucked by the hat racks and wool coats. Tall, solid, hat brim low but not low enough to hide those piercing gray eyes that had starred in her nightmares for 6 years. Her breath hitched, the book tumbled. Luke Harlan alive, right there. He looked tougher, wirier, with creases fanning his eyes that time had carved. A jagged scar sliced from his brow to his cheekbone, stark on his sun-beaten skin. But those eyes? Unchanged. Memories crashed over her. Lazy summers by the river at 16, his fingers in her curls at 18. The frantic night before he fled, backed against the stable door, vowing eternity under the stars. I'll return for you, Emily, he'd murmured on her lips. Once I prove it wasn't me. 6 years of silence, of wondering if he'd swung from a rope or bled out in some gulch. 6 years molding herself into Daniel Whitaker's bride instead of Luke Harlan's sweetheart. Now he was here, and Emily's fragile world spun off-kilter. Their gazes met over the heads. He tipped his hat subtly a hello, a query a vow. Emily's fingers flew to her neck, her ring like a chokehold. When she blinked, he was gone, evaporated like mist, like a holiday phantom, like every joy she'd surrendered. But she knew, gut deep, Luke Harlan was back. The old Harlan homestead hunkered empty on the town's fringe, boards silvered by wind and woe. Emily had no business going saddling her pony before dawn, packing a hamper of charity goods for the needy miners on Christmas morn. But she went. He was there, lounging on the creaky steps like he'd never bolted. 6 years dissolved like frost and sunlight. "Hello, Emily." His voice a gravel now, edged from hard living. It rippled through her, unrelated to the chill. "Luke." She swung down, knees wobbly. "They said you were gone for good. Everyone figured. Everyone figured wrong." He rose, and she clocked the changes. Taller, broader, twin revolvers slung low, grips polished from Yuja Gunslinger's kit. "Most tales about me are bunk." She ached to rush him, bury herself in his arms like the girl of old. Instead, she froze by her mount, recalling her oaths, her husband's faith, the existence she'd forged from heartbreak's ruins. "Why now?" she breathed. "After all this time?" Luke fished a creased paper from his vest, Motion's Precisia survivor who'd learned to outdraw, outthink, outlast. Found the real killer of Elias Grant. The name slammed her like a gut punch. Elias Grant, the storekeeper gunned down in his shop 6 years back, the slaying pinned on Luke, driving him into exile over a vigilante noose. Tracked him through 4 counties. Luke went on, edging nearer. She caught whiffs of saddle leather, powder, and that singular hymn scent. An uncovered Moria web bigger than one murder. He passed the sheet. Their fingers grazed and time folded. Bank ledgers, freight bills, sealed missives. Elias stumbled on a graft ring. Luke explained. "My bosses in 2 states are pocketing more profits, greasing politicians." He aimed to blow the whistle. Emily's hands quaked, scanning names she knew, sums that curdled her stomach. "So they silenced him," she murmured. "And hung on Maya preacher's kid gone rogue, makes a tidy diversion." Luke's face hardened. She met his gaze, seeing the toll. The burden of 6 years dodging, concealing, morphing into something fiercer than her tender bow. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have trusted knowing you couldn't." "You did trust." His palm cupped her face, tender as dawn. "Only you never wavered, Emily. That's why I'm here." The air crackled, perilous. 6 years yearning distilled. "We can't," she said, even as she leaned in. "I know," but he held fast. 2 days on, Daniel still and Helena. The front street house loomed like a crypt echoes, gloom, ghosts. Emily couldn't shake Luke's proofs, those familiar names gnawing. That night, she resolved, Daniel stashed his files in a bolted desk drawer. Official matters. Nothing for a wife. Tonight, it was her affair. The key hid behind a loose plank in his chamber. She'd spotted it ages ago. Dusting tucked the secret with her quiet defiances. The drawer yielded whispers, dispatches, logs, and a fat binder tag Grant case closed. Her pulse thundered, flipping pages. Daniel's jottings, testimonies, exhibits and clipped rearward, suspects he'd been commanded to ignore. Matching Luke's roster. Searching for something? Emily whirled, heart seizing. Luke in the doorway, flakes dissolving on his dark duster. How she gasped. Rear latch unbolted. He entered, sealed the door. "Risky, Emily. Anyone could stroll in." "Like you." A faint grin ghosted his mouth. "I'm not just anyone." He neared. Emily felt the isolation acutely. Fire glow dancing on his features. rendering him the peril he'd evolved into. Her shift seemed gossamer exposed. Unearth anything? He nodded at the desk. Daniel probed, but got shut down. Her tone hushed. He's clean, Luke. Relieved. A flood of ease washed Luke's face. Thank heavens. Couldn't stomach if you'd wed a crook. Emily wrapped up. No, Daniel's flawed, but not dishonest. Luke leaned for the binder, frame brushing hers' aroma of lye. Hide, frost dizzied her. His arm pinned her to the wood, breath scarce. You ought to leave, she murmured if Daniel returns. Not tonight. Luke's spare hand wove in her loose tresses. Emily. She pivoted, pressing flush to his torso. His heartbeat matched her frenzy. This lunacy, she thought perhaps, his digit mapped her cheek, jaw, lips bow. But I've unraveled without you. Time halted. 6 years pining hone to now Emily wedged twixt Luke's firm form and her spouse's station, his touch igniting trails. Luke, she sighed not denial. His palm spanned her hip, calluses rough through fabric from survival's forge. Tell me to halt. He rasped in her ear, raw with want. Bid me depart, and I shall. But words failed, air thinned. Fire etched his visage. She beheld the forged man and lost boy, 6 years' solitude in his graze, fleeing, veiling, yearning home. Her palms ascended his chest. Beneath the shirt, his heart thrummed. A ridge scarred above his shirt front fresh, since her knowing. You're scarred, she traced. Healed, his grip firm, drawing nearer. All mends with time. Inches apart, she spied silver in his graze, felt his exhale warm her mouth. One tilt, one yield, I'm bound, torn from depths. I know. Foreheads met. He quivered. God forgive Emily, I know. Knowing differed from heeding always had with Luke Harlan. Her fingers climbed, lacing his nape hair. He groaned, needing pure, arrowing through her. 6 years, he hushed 6 years dreaming this. Luke but her utterance pleaded. Lips nigh when clamors slice night. Mounts, riders galloping front street. They sprang apart, scorched. Emily's hand clutched her throat. Through drapes, torch flickers, shadows. Hide, she urged, but Luke drew, irons fluidly, predator's poise. Sheriff's crew, grim, peering. Spotted my entry. Terror clawed. Root cellar kitchen rear they won't. Luke negated. Found it damns you. Won't ruin your name for my sake. Horses neared. Voices, boots on the stoop. Emily Whitaker. Gruff, strange. Open Marshal's warrant. Luke framed her face, eyes fierce. Whatever transpires, you don't know men ever saw. Swear. I can't swear. Desperate. Won't let you suffer my faults again. Pounding swelled. The door'd splinter soon. I swear, she breathed. Luke kissed her brow swift, soft. Farewell then vanished rearward into the blizzard. Mrs. Whitaker, apologies for the hour. Deputy Marshal Victor Kane on threshold. Hat clutched, but gaze flinty. Behind, 7 gunmen in the snow. Hunting a runaway. Luke Harlan. Recall him from before your nuptials? Emily cinched her robe, praying steadily. Luke Harlan, but he's dead. Ain't he? Alive and lethal, ma'am. Kane scanned the interior. Permit a sweep? Sighting reports nearby. No option, naturally. Though I hear. But she grasped. Town gossiped about her and Luke's old spark, buzzing post-wedding. Men fanned like predators, appending chairs, probing nooks. Emily trailed, pulse roaring, bracing for outcry. None. Fresh brew. A deputy sniffed the stove pot. Sleepless, Emily quick, brewed to calm jitters. Kane eyed her lamplit, jumpy for an innocent. 7 armed intruders at midnight. Emily shot back, bolder than felt. Kane smiled, chilled. Harlan sought homicide. Mrs. Whitaker homicide and plotting. Aiders and accomplice gallows crime. Threat plain. Emily chin lifted, summoning etiquette drills. Lucky I ain't seen him then. They cleared 20 minutes later. Kane stationing duo, force safeguard. Emily waited till the lights faded, then slumped, quaking. Luke out in the freeze. preyed on for truths threatening moguls. She mulled file names wealthy, wired men who'd slay for silence. Luke confronts Solo with irons and 6 years grit unless she aided. Terror gripped, but in pristine parlor, pristine abode, pristine existence hubby purchased, Emily realized perfection exhausted her. Dawn broke, icy sharp. Emily garbed meticulously her finest sapphire wool, eye-enhancing. If torching her standing, do it stylishly. Abandoned Harlan spread, edged town, veiled by furs and yesteryears. Tailed deputies shadowed, anticipated let, witnessed charity rounds, no crime in goodwill. Luke in a derelict barn, currying a midnight Mustang fierce as he. He wheeled at her step, fatigue etched deep from vigil. Should VE come quiet? Nor you. She set a hamper, unearthed beneath loaves. Garb, bandages, and vital Daniels file duplicates, transcribed pre-raid. Luke gawked at papers, a shift in mean. Emily, this topples half the state brass if they knew. They'd string me, matter of fact as chit-chat. Yep, aware. He strode 3 paces, seized hands. Then why hazard all? Emily met eyes this heart-shaper, pre-knowing heart saw cherished lad and lethal outsider. One soul. 'Cause 6 years back, 19 and frightened, I'll let chase you sans fight for you us. Voice firmed, won't repeat. Blaze in Luke's Gray's hope? Fiercer? Grip tightened. Emily. She shook. More eye wired Helena mourned. True marshal, not Kane's cronies. Here by New Year's. Luke paled. You don't give these snakes kill threats, anyone. Then ensure they can't. Emily paced. Mind Werringer's household savvy repurposed. Town hall, tomorrow New Year's bash at the chapel. I'll attend. Emily what? She faced, steel heat overlooked. Time Willow Creek learns truth all. Need your backup, Luke. This round, no flight. Willow Creek Chapel overflowed on New Year's Eve 1890, every soul crammed. Lanterns warming finery. Emily front row, lap folded like a model sheriff's spouse but hard-hammered, eyeing the side entrance where Luke slipped if trusting her mad scheme. Reverend Harlan pulpit-bound knowing son's return. Voice boomed. Kin, we convened to bid old year due, hail new. But oft, progress demands reckoning past wrongs. Emily's signal. She rose, silk whispering hush. Reverend's right wrongs need righting, lies mending. Murmurs swelled. Widow Jenkins gaped. Kane rear straightened. Emily, Reverend started, but she advanced head high. 6 years passed, and this burg swallowed a whopper. Side door creaked. Luke entered. Gasps collective from 400. He cut striking territol, shadowed, peril with low-slung twins, grays sweeping for danger. We swallowed. Luke Harlan slew Elias Grant cold. Easier than probing, safer than bucking bigwigs. Kane bolted up, hand holstering. Mrs. Whitaker, hysterical sit. Doubt it. Luke's timbre knife tension. Stepped lit. Lady speaking eed. Kane's men shifted, palms hovering, but Luke outdrew. Barrels steady on crook lawman. Steady, Fellis Chapel, respect. Emily brandished copies high. These prove all ledgers, manifests, wires twixt state hacks, and mind barons 2 states. Elias unearthed silence for it. Enough. Kane snarled, drawing chaos erupted. Shrieks, shouts, wails. But Emily caught Luke's crack Kane whirled, gun unfired, shoulder hit. Live to trial, Luke cool. Others hands up, balking versus hunted legend. Now, Luke proceeded, iron firm. Who wants the lowdown on your 6-year ripoff? 2 hours airing proofs. Names, dates, Hall's gasps at pilfered taxes, mine stakes, school funds. End, last query fielded, Reverend Rose. Seems my boys clear this town O's mighty. Luke sheathed, scanned condemners. No sorries needed, just justice. The Northern Pacific whistle pierced Montana flats as Emily Harlan freshly sauce-stewed platform with a valise and a hopeful heart. Graph hearings spanned 4 months. 14 indicted, 10 jailed, and fortunes refunded to victims. Cain rotted a decade in pen, pondering. Daniel took hits hard but unforeseen. Night home to upheaval. Parlor confessed, whole sands interrupt. Failed, you tried safety via shrinking. Ain't love, Emily fear. Divorce is amicable, gracious. Daniel retained home. Badgetown required his core decency, merely astray. Emily claimed entry goods. Pa's timepiece, Ma's gown, liberty to chart fate. Luke exonerated, federal badge, tendered accepted conditionally. Pick post, turf life. California bound. Rails hiring schooled ladies as tutors. Upright gents as peacekeepers Pacific vast azure to boundless skyline. Ready? Luke queried, clasping his hand as the conductor barked. Emily glanced at Willow Creek farewell. Then the man beside marked, yet unbroken. Toughened sans bile, still Bible-quoting sincere. Been ready 6 years. They've boarded westbound. Emily Harlan and her wanderer, shedding old specters for becoming's pledge. The West never offered redawsome, just dawdled, claiming. What do you think of this tale? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Did Emily make the right call, leaving her stable life for love and justice? Or was it too risky? Share your stance, and let's debate.